Welcome back to Standoff. Today's mission begins with something that I know everybody is eager to hear more of.
Bradshaw, I still don't understand why I have to fly with Squealer. You want him on this mission? Fine, but why on my wing? Shouldn't he be flying Gladius instead?
Spoons, I'm really tired of hearing this. Do I have to ground you? Because it's really not a good time for that, you know.
Alright. I'll fly the damn mission.
Spoons, I'd much rather look at the Verdun. It's quite pretty, and your whining is ugly, so let's just do that instead. I think shouldn't he be flying a Gladius is basically shouldn't he be dead.
Good to see you, Captain Bradshaw. We're ready to go.
Great, let's get started then.
I assume that Trigger's brother is in command of the mine layers that we're supposed to be protecting.
Captain, we've got an emergency. Seems a convoy carrying replacement fighters managed to miss the retreat orders. They tried to rendezvous at the Moskva, but it's already jumped and they're tracking inbound Kilrathi fighters.
Understood. Is the mining mission scrapped then?
That's a negative. We want you to divert one wing to the convoy rescue, but you have to continue with the current assignment.
Roger that. We'll be spread a bit thin out here though. Scramble Echo Wing and have them meet up with us at Nav 2.
Way ahead of you, Bradshaw. They're already on the way. Fireka out.
Spoons, are you up for that convoy mission?
Welcome, Captain. On our way.
This is a Clydesdale. It may be the most phallic ship ever devised. Anyway, we're supposed to be keeping those safe from the Kilrathi while they lay some mines. Speaking of the Kilrathi,
We're commencing the drop, Captain.
here they are.
But those Kilrathi might get in the way.
It's our usual daily serving of Krantz, and as is quite often the case in Standoff, we have to kill this lot before some more show up, otherwise we'll get overwhelmed. In company with the Krantz are a pair of Kamek corvettes. They are not a huge threat in this mission because they move too slowly. But that said, our wingmen are very bad at attacking them,
Enemy fighter destroyed, Chief.
so we may well
We're ready to move on to the next nav point, Captain.
lose a couple of fighters to them just because of the AI being retarded. That is the mine layer death message.
Echoing. Reporting arrival, Captain.
I have nothing to say about it, I don't think. It is a thing best ignored. These Gratha are the primary threat to the mine layers, and while it's not essential to keep all of them alive, we do want to keep as many as we can, or at least 3 alive, because the more mine layers we have alive, the less time they spend well, for a start we don't have to hear that message as often, but also there's the fact that mine layers sort of have to lay a set number of mines, and they take less long if they have more mine layers. And therefore, we face fewer enemies. Especially at the final nav point, there's a large swarm which will only show up if you have 2 mine layers left. If you have 3, it makes the mission much easier. This is the mission's big fight, and we're getting through this one with with the requisite 3 mine layers and at least 4 wingmen, so this should be good. You might notice here my speed is really slow. That's because of a little problem with the interface, and I don't always notice. The way you launch a missile in this game is by pressing both fire buttons simultaneously, and I tend to hold down the secondary fire and fire the primary fire as a launch button. Problem with that is that holding down secondary fire also turns your flight stick into a throttle. So by holding down secondary fire and pulling back, I decrease my speed a bit. The other thing that I should probably mention while I was complaining about speed controls was I loved the way that Comet blew up, leaving no fuselage and just 6 wings rotating in space. I'm not sure what sort of design failure mode that is, but I don't think it's a very good one, given that I'm imagining the fuselage is probably where all the crew are. Anyway, you saw 3 Sarthas at the start, and there's also 3 Draculae here. These fights are not particularly difficult, but because such a large proportion of the enemy fighters are armed with dumbfire missiles, it's quite easy for something catastrophic to happen, since dumbfire does an awful lot of damage per radius. Of course, at this point, with just 1 enemy left, the biggest danger is friendly fire.
Almost done, Captain. But we need a bit more time.
What's your status?
Nothing major, apart from my wounded pride.
I have to remember to do Sparrow's status comms because they're all quite good. Anyway, mine layers, mine laying.
We're ready to move on to the next nav point, Captain.
I'm a bit worried that they apparently drop mines out of their engines, and also mines that are as large in diameter as they are, and lots more of them than their combined length. But there you go. Also note how the camera clipped through that mine layer. That's just something that happens in Wing Commander games, or Wing Commander games based on this engine, and it's because they put the camera in a sensible place for fighters, and if you have anything bigger than a fighter, that happens. Oh hey, friendly fire! Up to this point in the game, in this mission, I have taken more damage from friendly fire than enemy fire, and this is not about to stop. Ow. Mate, it doesn't count as your victory if you're causing me to get blown up by my own wingman's fire. It really doesn't. Kinda, you know, their problem. Anyway, I just skipped ahead here to the next fight because there was a bit of waiting around for the enemy to show up. Ow. That one was the enemy, I think. So, this got a bit tense because this mission's really quite hard. And I didn't want to have to do it again, and it's been going very well. So now I start flying very defensively. What that mostly means is emptying the gun banks like that and flying a few evasive loops until they recharge and coming back in again. Right, so now we're 5 enemies, 3 friendlies. It's still quite close, and I'm a bit worried. That I may have to redo this. But now it's looking a bit better. It's 3 on 3 now. So at this point I ought to win. which doesn't necessarily mean that I will, since 2 of the remaining Ratha have ganged up on me. Which is normally what gets you killed. Fortunately this time it didn't. And even more fortunately, although we're in the friendly fire zone now, my wingmen decide that enemy fire is what's fashionable. So we're done with another mission. Time to wrap up some plot lines. Well, sort
My
of.
wing, get information.
Affirmative, sir.
Good news, Bradshaw. We get to keep these fighters from the rescued convoy. I hear there's even a few crossbows.
Finally, some luck. But what happened to your ship, Spoons?
A wing of Frata ganged up on me. I would have bought it if it wasn't for Squealer.
It was no big deal, Spoons. You would have done the same.
Yeah, of course.
Mission accomplished.
Request clearance to land.
Captain, you've got priority clearance to land, and other emergencies come up. We need you to rearm and get back out there immediately.
So, mission accomplished. We have some new fighters, including an excuse never to fly the Gladius ever again. And perhaps Spoons will stop whining about Squealer. All seems well. Except for the fact that my rapier is almost completely totaled. We have an old favourite from the Chief here.
Captain, you made it back alive in that thing?
And there we are. The performance score is low because I failed a mission objective. That was sort of on purpose. If you don't fail that objective, then you skip the next mission, which is really good fun, so I don't want to. On the other hand, I've never actually succeeded at making 4 Clydesdales survive on Nightmare difficulty, so I can't really claim to have failed it on purpose. Anyway, that's for next video, so until then, I've been Ilanin, this has been Standoff, thanks for watching, I'll see you next time when we're saving destroyers.